It is so good seeing my next guest finally make his UFC debut. He's going to be taking on Muhammad Mokaev, UFC Fight Night, UFC London, July 23rd. It's Charles Johnson, Energy, back here on the program. Charles, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Has it? I know it's been a couple of weeks now, or it's been a while, I should say, that you got signed to the UFC. But how does it feel being introduced as a UFC fighter, man?
Man, it's amazing. It's dream come true, and I'm excited.
So I always ask this, how did you find out the news that you had been signed to the UFC? Was it an email, phone call? Take me through when you found out you'd signed pen to paper.
Actually, what happened was I was called Wednesday night. Wednesday night we have sparring at my main gym, and so I was about 6-7 rounds in, had about 45 minutes of training. And my phone was plugged up to the Wi-Fi because I'm usually playing music on my phone. And it kept going off, and I was like, why is the music going off? So I finally went over there to check. It was my manager. He had called me 2-3 times. I asked my coach to take the call. He took the call, and he told me, we got a conversation. He was like, Saturday? All right, yeah. So what all happened was the fight was Sumu Darji and Manel Kopp had fell out. And they were calling me to ask me to replace it fight on Saturday. This was Wednesday night. So they gave me Thursday to cut weight, Friday weigh in, Saturday fight. We were like, yeah, I'm about 140, 145-ish right now. See if we can play with a little bit of weight here and see what we can do. Friday morning rolls around. Thursday rolls around. I'm cutting weight. I start cutting weight a little bit. I'm about 137, 136. My manager called me about noon. He was like, yeah, there's a couple hiccups with medicals right now. We're not going to be able to get you out there in time and get everything taken care of that we need to. But we're going to sign and fight Muhammad Mokaev on July 23rd in England.
Okay.
I was like, all right. It was like it wasn't an ask. It was just like, this is what happens. This is what we're doing. They're glad that you were willing. Short notice. It wasn't ideal to and awarded me with another opportunity.
That's amazing. So first, did you know anything about Mokaev before taking this fight? Were you familiar with him?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. In 2020, while I was at Tiger Muay Thai, he came out there for a few weeks to train, and he had been out there before, I believe, as well. So he was familiar with the coaches and everything out there. I was there because I was on sponsorship with Tiger Muay Thai from the tryouts. So I trained with him a couple times. It wasn't like anything intense. A couple stand-up rounds, a little bit of grappling. Not too much really to know from it. It was just a regular training session. Not too much to really hang anybody's hat on or anything. Just another day of training. So,
Okay.
and so yeah, I was familiar with when I seen that he got signed after I think my first title defense. He got signed, I believe, and so once I saw that, I was talking to my managers about me getting signed. I was like, this kid's 6-0, he just got signed. It's like, it should be about our time soon too. So when they said Muhammad Mokaev, July 23rd, I knew exactly who it was and what I was in store for.
Well, and not just that, you're fighting him in London. He's from London. He's a young guy. They're obviously trying to build him up a bit. What's it like having your debut as, let's call it like it is. I'm sure the UFC would want him to win. How does that feel? I know you've been in enemy territory before, but to have your debut be like that, what are your feelings on that?
The UFC is in the game of whoever's going to bring eyes and, money in the building. He brings a lot of money, brings a lot of views, and brings a lot of eyes. So, obviously on their part, I don't think it's a smart play for them. They probably, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I know they're not in the business of building fighters anymore. They it's kind of like a revolving door nowadays. So whoever takes that mantle, they roll with. So for me, it's nothing but opportunity. I think they'll be happy with whoever wins this fight. Honestly, with me being a former LFA champion, It's other LFA champions who've gained the title there, like Brandon Moreno. So I think they'll be happy regardless with the outcome of this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And just last thing on the matchup itself, do you know that you're like a 3-1 underdog? Did you see the betting odds? You're like, I checked now this morning, you're like plus 325. Did you know that?
Nah, man, I don't check that type of stuff, man.
Well, I was going to say your buddies could win a lot of money here because I think, personally, like I know both of you quite well, especially you. I've interviewed you for years. Like that's
Yeah.
a crazy line, in my opinion, honestly. And I know Mokaev is a great fighter. I still think the line's off here. Yeah, you know, him being like almost a 4-1 favorite.
Well, it tells you a lot about the casualness of MMA fans, you know, like they just see this kid who finished third in, and even the betting line, you know, like they just see, oh, undefeated, said blase blase, right? A lot of betting lines are like that, and a lot of casual fans who don't know me, you know, get behind a young kid. Everybody wants to see the next great thing, right? So, um, he is a really good fighter. He's a good fighter. Um, but I think the lines. I always see betting lines are pretty ridiculous. Fighting is one of those sports where betting lines get very blurred really fast. Unless you're a Valentina Shevchenko,
Mhm.
I think that's the only individual in our sport who really stands out in a betting situation. To be honest,
Yeah.
because I think the women are really far behind her in that weight class.
How much do you think experience will play into this? You know, Mokaev's got the amateur experience, right? That was one of the things with him where, you know, when he went pro, he had all these fights under his belt. But if you look at his pro career, you mentioned Cody Durden. You know, he doesn't have a strong list of opponents that he's fought. You have. You fought Brandon Royval. You fought in LFA. You did those reps early on. How much will that play into this fight, do you think?
I think it's less about experience because I feel like he has enough experience from training with top level guys around the world and just being groomed for this moment. He's been groomed since he was about 12 years old. He's been around top notch talent. He knows what it looks like. He knows what it feels like. So when it comes to experience, he'll be prepared. He's already fought in the UFC. He'll be prepared. I don't think it's much less about experience. I think it's more so about I don't. We'll see what he does with adversity. I know how I do with adversity, you
Mhm.
know. But I deal with adversity really well, whether it's life or in the cage. And so we'll see what kind of adversity he's able to deal with in the cage when things don't go quite as easy as he think they will. You know, he thinks that things will be I don't know, man. It's a kind of you know.
It's
Oh
true.
man.
No, you really do see what a fighter's made of adversity. You know, prime example of this is Charles Oliveira, right? Like Mr. Adversity, people are writing him off, and now he's dominant UFC champion. Like he looks great. So I think there's a point to that for sure. So
Yeah, people like to create a narrative for people
mhm.
before they've done much of anything. It happens a lot, and it's nice. It's really cool to see a young kid like him. If he was in any other weight class, I'd probably be rooting for him. If he was in any other weight class,
Right.
but he's a flyweight, you know. So the moment you decide to be a flyweight, you're already competition to me, you know. And so it's some things that he says I agree with, I vibe with, and a lot of things I don't, you know. So it's interesting to see. For me, it's interesting to see how other people takes things that he says compared to how they take things that
Yeah.
he says if they came from someone else, you
Yeah.
know.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because when he says certain things, everybody jumps up, oh, and when other people would have, if someone else would have said that, it's taken differently. So I think that's very interesting. A lot with these Russian fighters, these fighters, not just Russian or these fighters coming from Dagestan. When they say certain things, the casual MMA fans have already related them to Khabib. You
Yeah.
know, nobody's gonna be Khabib. Islam Makhachev is great. I saw him on the mats in Tiger Muay Thai. I think he has a chance to do some really special things, but even he's never gonna be Khabib. You know, Khabib was a one-off, and I think just don't discount people as fighters. You know.
Let's talk about training camp. You're in Philly right now. Take me through what camp's looking like from now until London. Where are you going to be training? What are you doing? Who are you working with?
Right now, I have been in Philly for the last 3 weeks training at University of Pennsylvania with PRTC. Up here with some great wrestlers, mainly with Jordan Burroughs, Joey McKenna, and some other guys up here that are competing at the world stage. And they just had U23s this past week. I believe they took about 15 guys and or maybe more, and all of them did pretty well. So I've just been getting a lot of grappling and wrestling in with that group of guys. It's high level, intense, uh, practices, a lot of drilling, and then I've been cross training at Daniel Gracie's gym out here where Sean Brady is, and they got a couple, two, three guys around my weight, around 145, that I really been able to get some good, solid rounds in, good jujitsu, good stand up. So, bouncing between those two has been a great camp so far. Just the big beginning of the camp, So basically, just setting a solid foundation, getting everything off on the right foot, feeling good, looking good, feeling good, and building up that strength that I'm gonna take into the next 6, 7 weeks of camp where I start to take it up.
Why train out there in Philly? I mean, you mentioned obviously some great people that you get to work with, but why there? Because I know I believe last time we talked, you were training with Joaquin Buckley and those guys over in Michigan.
Yeah, that's my home gym. I just came out here to take the opportunity with Jordan Burroughs
Of course,
specifically.
yeah.
He invited me out here, and I met him at their super match back a couple months ago. They had the event with Kyle Snyder and Jaden Cox, and me and him had a great conversation, and he invited me out here. I stayed in contact, and then I came out here, at the start of camp just to, keep building that relationship, but also see if there's something I could do more in the future. Be a second camp that I could cross train with. I knew Daniel Gracie's gym was close, so just seeing what it felt like. Um, and I was already knew that I wanted to get a lot of wrestling in this camp with Muhammad. His keys to victory are a lot different than mine. I For me, I feel like he has only a couple ways to go, whereas me, I have a lot more tools in my belt. And so if I focus on a specific couple things, you know, for most of this camp, the other things are going to shine anyway.
The weight cut, you always make weight, but with this being in London, how do you alter that at all with the travel time and everything? How are you navigating through that ahead of the fight?
No, I'll be great. Actually, my lady who I've been dating for the last 2.5 years, she's from Sweden. She's in Norway at the moment, so it's 6 hours. It's the same time difference as London as well. So I'm very used to the time frame. We talk every day, so I'm very used to that difference in time. I'll just as it gets closer to the end of camp. This is something I learned from Khalil Roundtree when he was training to fight in Abu Dhabi. He like set his time and his clocks according to Abu Dhabi and would rest and train around the time he was going to be fighting. So I'm going to take that into my account as well as I get closer to it's time when it's time to compete.
Who's going to be making the trip down there with you? Who's going to be in your corner?
Right now we getting everything settled out. It looks like it may be well, for my head coach, Rodriguez, my teammate who I live with, Michael Gilmore, and my third is probably going to be Nick Simmons, but I haven't decided who my third will be yet.
I didn't know you live with Michael Gilmore. That's the nicest guy ever. I really enjoyed chatting with him. Really nice guy. Doesn't look
Yeah,
like a fighter,
Mike,
like if you see him on the street, I'm sure, because he's like, just looks like a regular guy, but he's like a killer in there, man.
yeah, Mike's my boy, man. He's a really, 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 really good dude. I've been living with him since I came back from Thailand, and I came to Michigan for the last year and some months, couple months. So, just a great situation that I have going in Michigan uh, with him, and I do the dog sitting when
Oh,
they're
cool.
away, and I handle those things, and so it's been a great situation for us.
How's this fight playing out on July 23rd?
It's gonna be a great fight, man. I think definitely be up for fight of the night. Um, I got a lot of things on my heart, man. I got a lot of things on my mind, on my heart, and I'm ready to put them out there in that cage and just put on the best performance possible. I really feel like, you know, I've competed at a very high level in the LFA, but I've always still kind of held my cards close because in the back of your mind, you still know you have to win to get to the UFC. So you play it a little bit safer than you would, you know?
Mhm.
I don't have any reason to play safe anymore. I don't have any reason to hold anything back. And so I'm very excited to go out there with the game plan, but just open up even more, open up even more and prove some things to myself.
Not looking past July 23rd. I imagine you want to get one more in this year, maybe two, as far as your timeline for 2022. Would you like to get a couple more in this year?
Yeah, that's the goal. Get out of this fight fairly healthy. I don't plan on fighting for health, so I think I have a little bit of something hurting after this fight. But I plan on getting out of this fight, man, and just keep the train rolling, And so, um, hopefully, we can get two more in. We'll see. UFC seems like it's hard for them to get fights done
Mhm.
lately. So.
Um, a past opponent I just mentioned in this interview, Brandon Royval. I know obviously he's doing great things in the division. He's really high up there. Is that still a fight you want? That rematch, is that on your list, or you don't care about that? Because some fighters do want to obviously avenge a loss, but I was just curious your thoughts on that.
No, I don't care anything with that loss. It was a great fight. Me and him both agree. Um, that I mean, I felt like I won the fight. The judges gave it to him, and that's what it is. I
Mhm.
like Brendan, person and a fighter. If we ever do fight again, it'll be a great fight. But I would prefer to fight him for a belt.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm hoping that he gets the opportunity to win the belt, and in the next year or so. So um, I think whoever the outcome of my fight is going to loom very large with those top 5 to 10 rankings because whoever wins my fight is going to be in line 2 fights from now to push for a title.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd
looking
agree with
at
that.
my fight like a title fight. My
Yeah.
fight is a title fight to me. I'm coming out of title fights. This is a title fight to me. Every fight moving forward is a title fight because for me in the flyweight division, it only takes 3 fights. It only takes 3 and you're right there. And so for me, it's a title fight, and you never know. These guys don't like making weight. You could get called up for it to replace someone, in a interim spot for the title. And so you just have to be prepared. And so first thing first is to handle business July 23rd because this fight is basically a title fight, and you win this fight, the winner of this fight has so much momentum moving forward. And I don't think I honestly believe whoever loses this fight, they don't lose momentum either. I think we're gonna put on such a good fight that both of us is gonna have momentum moving forward.
Like
He's got a
Islam,
lot.
like Islam and Arman Saryukin, kind of like that, you know?
Yeah. And I saw both of them. Funny enough, they were both training in Thailand at Tiger when I was there, so I
Yeah.
knew how that fight was gonna similarly go. And so I feel that type of vibe with this as well. And people I don't know. I think the betting odds are like looking at age and they're looking at, this guy's undefeated. But like, I feel like I'm just now coming into my own. I'm just now starting to really round and pull things together. So I'm very excited about this fight, man. I really am. I'm motivated a lot. I'm very motivated because I feel like I was talking to my brother this morning. I just feel like this fight is a reflection of my life because I feel like some guys they've been just gifted a lot of opportunity, and some guys they've had to like earn it every step of the way. And this is just another reflection of everything I've had to get here. And now that I'm here, I still have to prove myself. And I like that. And I appreciate that opportunity. So I'm really excited about the opponent the I didn't care where it was gonna be. I didn't care who the opponent was gonna be. So I'm excited that it's not a small apex fight. I feel like it's where I belong. So I'm very excited about that.
Charles, again, congratulations on getting in the UFC. I'm really excited for this fight. We've been doing interviews for a while. That's best part of my job is getting to interview fighters like yourself and see them, make it to the UFC. And I know only big things ahead. And it starts on July 23rd, UFC London. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors you want to plug, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, man. I'm glad it didn't take us 4 years this time. To
Yeah,
get back with.
exactly.
But I just want to thank, everyone who's rooting for me, everyone who supports me, and all my sponsors, my gym, my coaches, my teammates, and the UFC for this opportunity. And I thank you for having me on.